First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh is who this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'Hashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. Also, to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. In today's video, massive news, man. Woke up this morning, saw this, and massive news, prophecy, right? The U.S. and Israel have striked Iran. Okay, that's massive if you understand, what's written in the scriptures, how this thing is supposed to play out. And this is the second strike that they have done. The first strike was a couple months ago on their nuclear facilities. And essentially, the reason they struck is because America was saying no, because Iran is building up their nuclear technology and we need to stop it. And, they attacked the base. But now they attacked again, saying that, they ended up rebuilding. They're not stopping the nuclear program, and they're still pushing their nuclear program. So we're going to get it fully done now. Now, when I go into, the news right here, it says Iran missiles brings war to Gulf doorstep, hardens support for U.S.-Israel campaign. Israel strikes 2 schools in Iran, killing more than 100 people. Right? So, they're turning it up. And before we go into it, first scripture that comes to mind is Romans chapter 13 and verse 11. It says, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Right? So, the salvation, these prophecies, they're not tearing anymore. They're not prolonging. It's not taking forever. No, we're seeing it literally right in front of us. Okay? And if we're seeing, as it says, rumors of wars, what did Yahweh Shah tell us? That these are the beginning of things. This is the beginning of the end. Right? How this is just, a little glimpse into what the world is going to fully go into. Right? Chaos. And one thing is that we're seeing, these World War III, rumors, World War III, beginning stages. Then we know that chip got to be around the corner. Because those missiles, those nukes can't go off until the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, is made mandatory worldwide. So, just putting the puzzles together, we got to know that the chip is right around the corner and that they're about to do something to bring that in. But let's read Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 2. It says, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Right? So these visions, these prophecies they have their appointed time. Right? Everything is laid out perfectly. Okay? It's predetermined. Okay? There's no such thing as free will. Everything is already written the way it's supposed to happen. And it says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Right? We're seeing the prophecies speak. And they're not lying. They're happening exactly as is written. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Right? And that word tarry goes into prolonging, like procrastinating, taking a while. Right? Though it feels like it's taking a while, just wait. Because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Right? These prophecies will happen. And that's why, you go into Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter, and it goes into how, the prophets prophesy to our people, the Israelites, and they don't want to listen to it. They don't want to do it. But it says in verse 33, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. Right? So, I bet countless people that saw these news today, that saw this, attack, instantly, if they have heard of the word of the prophecies, they've heard the brothers out there doing the work, that's the first thing that's going to go to their mind. Damn, that guy was actually right. Damn, what do I do? That's for you people out there that are straddling the fence, not on point. Whenever something prophecy linked goes on and you know of it, it's going to make you question yourself. And it's going to get to a point, as it says, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. Right? They're going to know that those were the prophets and they were speaking the truth the entire time. So let's go into the CNN article, which recently, literally in the last couple hours, Trump says Iran's supreme leader killed in strikes. Right? And that's that guy, Khamenei, right? Ali Khamenei, which I'm going to get a picture of him real quick. This guy right here on the right. Okay. Taken out, man. That massive. But let's see what it says. It says the U.S. president has called for regime change following a massive U.S. and Israeli attack which prompted an unprecedented wave of retaliatory strikes by Iran. Right, Iran also shot missiles back, hypersonic missiles back to Israel and destroyed, if I remember correctly, U.S. Embassies over there in the east. It says President Donald Trump says Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in today's massive U.S. and Israeli attack, which Trump said will continue with heavy bombing throughout the week. Iran has claimed its leaders are safe and sound. It says Trump has indicated the military operation is aimed at overturning Tehran's government. One strike killed scores of students in an elementary school in southern Iran, according to state media. It says unprecedented retaliation. Iran unleashed strikes on U.S. military bases, Israel, and other targets across the Middle East, rocking densely populated areas and disrupting air travel and oil shipments. The U.S. military has reported no combat-related American casualties. And one thing also that is happening as a result of this is that Iran is going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Right? You go into the Strait of Hormuz, it essentially is, right, the Strait of Hormuz is, let me see if I can find it. It's pretty much one of the, Slack, yeah. Got a lot of things going through my mind right now. Right, so it says Bloomberg.com, ships avoid Hormuz as Iran media says it's practically shut. And right, Iran does not need to physically block the Strait of Hormuz to shut it down. It only needs to make transit too dangerous. And let's go into what is the Strait of Hormuz first. Let's do that. For people that don't know, the Strait of Hormuz is a strait between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. It provides the only sea passage from the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. And as you can see in that picture right now, you know, that is where a lot of ships go through that strait right there, that little piece of water. And the thing with that is that Iran controls that. Now, if Iran shuts that down, that means that all the products that are on those ships are not going to be able to reach their destination. And that is going to cause inflation. Okay, it's not going to be hyperinflation yet, but it will cause inflation. It will cause things to get more expensive. And, you know, as war, you know, amplifies more and more, it's only going to amplify the inflation until inflation becomes hyperinflation. And your $2, you know, McChicken now costs a $200. Right, let's get the scripture on that. In Revelation chapter, I actually want the BOB. Revelation chapter Revelation chapter 6 and verse 5. But we got to read this in the NLT. Okay. It says, in verse 5, it says, when the Lamb broke the third seal, I heard the third living being saying, come. I looked up and saw a black horse, and its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice from among the four living beings say, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. And don't waste the olive oil and wine. Right, so famine is coming, and that's how bad it's going to be. That a loaf of wheat bread, okay, your Wonder Bread, your Sara Lee bread, some bullshit-ass bread that's not even bread, or 3 loaves of barley will cost you a day's pay. Right, so that is famine right there. okay, a shortage of food. And that's going to be caused because of hyperinflation, because goods are not going to be readily accessible, such as, or as a result of things like this. Strait of Hormuz essentially being closed, right? So it says, what happens to the price of oil if the Strait of Hormuz is blocked? It says, analysts say U.S. gas prices could surge past $3 a gallon if strikes on Iran disrupt global oil supplies. Right, so a lot of people enjoying that $2.50 gas. Hey, remember COVID when it hit $4? So, hey, you know, we're seeing these prophecies jump out the book, and let's get this, and I'll end it. Second Ezra chapter 4 and verse 37, it says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. And he did not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Right? So everything is measured, everything is already deliberated, and he does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Right? So everything has its timing. Okay? And one thing we know, and this is why the scriptures of the prophecy is so powerful, is that we know that the nuclear missiles can go off unless the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip, is made mandatory, right? So we don't gotta get too riled up, too crazy, or not even crazy, but we don't gotta get, as the brother said, we're not too happy, we're one happy. We understand how it's all lining up, but it's still beautiful, seeing it happen, nevertheless. But one more scripture, Jeremiah chapter 50. Because this is really what we're seeing is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 45. It says, therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh they have taken against Babylon, and his purpose is the purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Right? Babylon here talking about America. And it sees that the least of the flock is going to draw out. Okay, is going to draw them out. Right, the least of the flock being these Israelis, they're going to draw America to World War III, and they're going to make their habitation desolate with them. Okay, because after, Iran turns up, eventually Russia will be back in Iran, same as China, and they're going to completely destroy the land of Israel. But after they're done with that, that is when they're going to move on to America, and that is the least of the flock being drawn out and making their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard amongst the nations. Right? So how is this place going to be taken? By those nuclear missiles. That's what's going to shake the earth and cause a massive earthquake. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully this is edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKakodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of great millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to your elect. Shalom.